But before we get there, Roy McIlroy, he's doing a little backstroking, baby. A little backstroking. Whoop, Roy. Roy says, oops, let me back this up. Buddy, how many of these PGA players are going to be sorry they missed the boat?
I don't think very many.
Do you really think that LIV is going to go away?
Yes.
Do you really? You think that they'll finally say, all right, I give up. We've already put $1 billion in.
I don't understand how it's going to I don't know how you're going to be able to give out that amount of money constantly without a lot of people that watch golf are watching it for the prestige, are watching it because of a certain tournament. More so now, players like Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, sometimes those guys transcend the game. But Brooks Koepka doesn't have that pull. Dustin Johnson doesn't have that pull. Bryson DeChambeau doesn't have that pull.
Nope.
So
Patrick Reed's a piece. They don't even. Nobody likes him.
And then a bunch of the other guys. Now, what I do think is happening now is I think LIV Golf is going to be around for a little bit. I don't think eventually giving away that kind of money with that kind of prize money, I just don't think it's appealing, and I don't think it can be sustained. Now, I could be wrong, but I think what the PGA Tour is realizing is some of our best players are going away. We still are going to need them in order to maintain our product. So now some of the players are starting to say, you do your thing, we'll do our thing. Maybe we can work together in the future so the PGA Tour can still survive, because it wants to as much as I said that those guys aren't a draw to people, they still bring some viewers, and you have to have some of that. So I think they want to start to work together with these two so they can keep them involved with the PGA Tour. They can continue to make money on these events without seeing everybody go to LIV. So I don't know. I watch the events for the tournaments, like the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the Players. It's because of the prestige, the Masters, US Open. It's because of the prestige more so than the Players. Now, there's a few that you'll watch. Like I said, Tiger, Phil, some of those other names, but that's why I don't think LIV is sustainable. And now we've got weed eating going on just outside the apartment.
Lovely. But the money is the upfront money. It's Patrick Reed. Those guys, they don't give a crap if they ever win another nickel playing golf as a they don't need to, because they've already won more than 10 times more than they could have dreamed of earning on the course or through any kind of marketing. Not even come close. It's stupid money. It's so dumb. That's why Patrick Reed's just giddy now. Because everybody in golf hates me, but I don't care. I've got $125 million, baby. Woohoo! And a shot to win more, because the competition ain't exactly that tough on that tour.
That's exactly right. I'm going to apologize for the background noise you're going to be hearing with the mowing and the weed eating and all that. So hopefully I can get my point across. But the one thing I will say, that for LIV Golf, the one thing that it does have going for it is a guy like Pat Perez, who spent his entire life on the tour. He even said, this is like me winning the lottery. So I think that that's a good thing. It seems like they're going to be starting to pay caddies a little bit more, and that's a good thing. So I do think it expands the game for some of these players who have spent their life in golf and maybe couldn't hit the big payday, couldn't quite get their footing in the PGA Tour. It does give them an opportunity, which I think ultimately is good. But again, to me, it's more of like, I just don't have any interest in watching a startup event in Portland, which is 3 rounds. Like it just that doesn't appeal to me as much as turning on and watching the WM Open. You know, seeing everybody on the what is it, the 16th, the par 3 16th hole. You know, everybody going crazy, or the prestige of the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. Some of these beautiful courses, TPC Sawgrass, that the par 3 7, the Island par 3.
What does having Pat Perez? What does that get the LIV Tour? I mean, he was about to go on to the senior tour, man. Hardly anybody even knows who he is. So they're gaining nothing with the players like that. Nothing. I mean, like he said, he's like, hey, I just won the lottery because he knows nobody knows who I am. I haven't done jack. I'm never going to do jack. They just handed me free Monopoly money.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they had to start somewhere. They had to fill out the 48 player field or whatever that number is. So you got to make an offer to some people, and that's why I don't think it's sustainable. It's different if every one of the top 25 players decided that they were going to leave for the LIV Tour. That would make a little bit more sense as to why you're passing out those big paydays. But when you have some of these names, and to be honest, outside of the names that I mentioned, I don't know a lot of these guys. So that's, to me, like, nobody's going to tune in to watch. Not a lot of guys are going to tune in to watch Lee Westwood or Pat Perez or some of these other names.
They would have 20 years ago. 20 years ago, maybe. Said maybe they would have 20 years ago.
Maybe.
I mean, Lee Westwood was a player 20 years ago, wasn't he?
I think so. Ian Poulter's another one.
Yeah, see, those are you've got to get the young up-and-comers. You got to get Zalatoris. You got to get a guy like Zalatoris. You want to make an impact? Zalatoris hasn't won a major, been close, but he is without question one of the absolute rising stars of the PGA. Yep. Now you go get a Zalatoris, whoop whoop. Now you're making scrambled eggs, baby.
Okay, so this Mike says outside of the majors, most people can't name the tournaments that are played. It's golf; they either watch or they don't. So that would almost, we can agree to disagree on whether most people know the names of the tournaments.
But how many of the big stars skip so many of these?
If you're not,
like the John Deere Classic, how many of the stars were in the John Deere Classic?
Oh, the John Deere Classic never gets big names. That's not common, or not uncommon, I should say. But the point is if you're not a golf fan and you just watch the majors, you're not tuning into LIV Golf either. You're not going, oh, I'm leaving the PGA Tour for LIV Golf. There's not a name on that tour. I mean, Phil Mickelson is playing terrible right now. So outside of Phil, there's not another name on that tour that you're tuning in and saying, boy, I want to watch Brooks Koepka play. There's nobody that has that Tiger Woods, that Jack Nicklaus allure, that nobody has that pull. People want to think that they do, but in golf, nobody has it. Unless you're transcending the game, nobody has that kind of pull. So if you're not watching the PGA Tour, you're not going to go and say, oh, I'm going to check out this. You might watch an event, but you're not going to watch it long term.
Well, and that brings up a question I was thinking about with NASCAR. All right. They have the playoff system where you win a race, you're basically guaranteed. You've always been guaranteed a shot in the end of the season playoffs. And then there would be several drivers that would get in on points, the top 16 drivers. Right now they've got, I don't even know what it is, but they're like 12 different drivers having won a race this year. It is the most first year winners it's the most first time winners, but it's the most different winners of a race since the second season of NASCAR.
Wow.
In 1950. So what that says is, that's that second year, it doesn't really count because of course everybody's getting the most, it's just happening. This is 50 years after the fact, 60, 70 years after the fact. Right. And a major sport has undergone such a transformation. They have the new gen car that has really leveled the playing field, obviously, but you've got all these, there's nobody that's dominant. And that's good in one way, but there are no superstars in NASCAR. I mean, some people will tell you that there are, but that's because they were already kind of made before this season. If things continued like this, it's hard to create superstars when everything is equal.
Right. Right.